Imagine standing on a Viking longship in 985 AD after weeks on the grey, churning North Atlantic. At last land appears. Eric the Red calls it Greenland, promising a new beginning. But the reality is harsh, jagged ice, biting wind, and a land nothing like home. A few hundred Norse families face unimaginable conditions. Survival is the first challenge. Winters are long and dark. Snow buries the land and hurricane-force winds threaten life. For most of the year, settlers are utterly on their own. Wood is scarce. The Norse must build new homes, fortresses against the cold. This is the story of how they endured in this frozen land. For centuries after the Norse vanished from Greenland, their story was legend. A lost European colony swallowed by the Arctic. In the 20th century, archaeologists followed clues from Old Norse sagas to the southern and western fjords. What they found was astonishing, not temporary camps, but the remains of a permanent, thriving society. Digging into grassy mounds, they uncovered stone foundations of hundreds of farms, churches and barns. At its peak, the Norse Greenlandic community may have numbered up to 2,500 people. They built a society with chieftains, priests and farmers, raising families and creating a unique culture. The most impressive ruins were the longhouses with thick walls and enormous footprints, some stretching up to 30 meters. These buildings housed both families and livestock, designed for survival in brutal winters. The layout reveals daily life, a central fire pit adjoining stalls for animals and strategic use of space. These discoveries shattered the myth of desperate castaways. Instead, they were master builders and strategic survivors. The ruins show deep environmental understanding and remarkable adaptation. The lost colony's voice is one of resilience and engineering prowess. The Norse faced a critical shortage of wood in Greenland. No forests, only scattered dwarf birch and willow. Driftwood was rare and precious. Traditional timber longhouses were impossible. Their solution, turf, the thick, dense sod beneath their feet. Turf building wasn't new, but in Greenland, the Norse perfected it. Stacked correctly, turf walls became thick, insulating, and windproof. Turf was abundant, free, and superior to wood for the Greenlandic climate. The low, earth-hugging longhouses blended into the landscape, their green roofs camouflaged against the pastures. The design was strategic, low-profile for stability, maximum insulation, and minimal heat loss. The settlers created a new architecture, perfectly adapted to their harsh world. Building a turf longhouse began with digging into a slope, using the earth for insulation and wind protection. A stone foundation kept the walls stable and dry. The internal frame, made from driftwood or even whalebone, defined the space and supported the roof. The real strength came from the turf walls, heavy blocks cut and stacked in parallel, sometimes in a herringbone pattern, with soil packed between. Walls could be over 2 meters thick, storing and releasing heat. The roof, supported by the frame, was layered with branches, sod, and a final thick layer of turf, creating a living, insulating roof. Inside, a central fire pit provided warmth. Raised platforms along the walls served as beds. It was dark and smoky, but a secure fortress against the Arctic winter. Every element was designed for survival. The Norse turf longhouse was a marvel of cold climate engineering. Thick turf walls acted as thermal batteries, absorbing heat by day and releasing it at night. With R values estimated at 40 or higher, these walls outperformed many modern homes. Minimal fuel, scarce driftwood and animal dung, was needed to keep the interior livable. Airtight construction, with few openings, prevented heat loss from the relentless Greenlandic wind. Livestock were housed inside, their body heat supplementing the warmth. The design was efficient, sustainable, and perfectly suited to the environment. The Longhouse was more than shelter, it was a survival system. Human and animal together endured the Arctic night. A turf longhouse was a living building demanding constant care. Walls compressed and eroded, roofs needed patching and healthy grass to stay waterproof. Every spring, settlers inspected and repaired their homes. Maintenance was survival. The roof was critical, leaks meant disaster in the Arctic. Turf for repairs was harvested from managed pastures, rotated to prevent depletion. This closed-loop system preserved resources and ensured sustainability. Scarce wood was reserved for tools and essential structures. Without turf, the colony would have exhausted its resources in a generation. The turf longhouse was the key to longevity in Greenland. It was a testament to foresight and deep environmental understanding. In an age of concrete and steel, the Viking turf longhouse seems primitive, but its principles are more relevant than ever. Using local natural materials is at the heart of today's green building movement. Modern techniques like rammed earth and green roofs echo Norse ingenuity. Super insulation and airtight design, necessities for the Vikings, are now standards for energy-efficient homes. The turf longhouse was an early passive house, designed to need little fuel. It's a masterclass in self-sufficiency and building with what's at hand. The aesthetic, homes blending into the landscape, inspires today's earth-sheltered architecture. The Norse show us that true sustainability is ancient wisdom. The Norse Greenlanders' turf longhouses are more than history. They're a saga of adaptation and resilience. Pushed to the limits, the settlers innovated, turning scarcity into strength. Turf became their greatest architectural achievement, born from necessity. The longhouse was a communal effort, a symbol of cooperation and survival. Its warmth came from both fire and the shared body heat of family and animals. Today, as we face our own challenges, the lessons from Greenland's ruins are clear. Living in harmony with the environment is not new. It's an ancient survival strategy. The turf longhouse endures as a lesson in engineering, sustainability, and the strength of the human spirit.